How many times have you sat down in front of your synth and want to make a good ambient space drone and it doesn't quite turn out like you planned? Or maybe you spent hours on your modular masterpiece and it still doesn't sound more interesting or more musical than anything you could do in software. Or maybe you just get fed up with the whole process entirely and end up sitting back down in your cozy office chair, fire up a Signs of Life ambient tutorial, hoping that some spark of inspiration will come flying through the screen and ignite something deep inside of you. Well, it could be all of the above, but if there's one thing we know, it's that when a good ambient space drone hits you, magic happens. What was your current reality instantly becomes a feeling of existential bliss, and your heart and mind become teleported to another time and space. But as producers, how do we actually create good ambient space drones? Well, as it turns out, the answer comes down to a few simple techniques. One thing you can do to really take your ambient space drones and pads to the next level is use tasteful amounts of modulation to make your patches sound more interesting and full of life. In today's video, you'll see me using FM synthesis, which is taking one waveform and modulating the frequency of another waveform using FM. By modulating the modulator frequency, you can make any regular sounding waveform much more dynamic and unpredictable. You can also look for ways to incorporate randomness in your patches if your synthesizer supports it. Using bits of randomness to bring out subtle but meaningful modulations can really help spice up even the most bland of sounds. Also featured in today's video is Bouncy Notes, the gravity-based MIDI sequencer in Ableton Live Suite, as well as Stepic from DeviceMeister. Using MIDI generators like this, which have randomized functions built in, can be great ways to shake up your usual MIDI input and generate some amazing results, similar to the way you might do it in a modular synth environment, aka Eurorack. You can also think about using Euclidean sequencers that use Euclidean math to generate different polyrhythms to bring out different timings in your sequences. Some great examples of these that I use all the time are the Euclidean Sequencer Pro for Max for Live, as well as the HY RPE2 from HY Plugins. Whether it's experimenting with new effects or trying something completely new and using field recordings in your music, I encourage you to think outside the box when approaching ambient space drones. One of the best parts about creating music like this is the unexpected surprises that can come when we play with sound and experiment in new ways, bringing sounds to life that have never been heard before. You know what a synth sounds like, but what would happen if you played that same synth through a unique suite of spectral or granular processing effects? The results might surprise you, so be creative and think outside the box. As always, before we start, if you like this kind of video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. And if you'd like to pick up any of the software that I use in today's video, be sure to check out the links down below in the description to get the best deals. By using these links, you're helping to support this channel as well. That being said, let's get into ambient space drones for beginners. Enjoy. What's up guys, Chris here from Signs of Life. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video, we are going to build an ambient space drone. Now, as you can see, down here below me, I have a new recommended listening section where I'm going to highlight pieces of music that you may not have heard or may like to revisit. And those pieces of music are meant to kind of give you an example track of what to go by of the style of music that we're going to be creating. So this album, Remote Vision, Birds Like Earth, was part of our initial release package on Exosphere. It's a very special album to me. And because of that reason that we released it first, it was sort of like our, initial label package. And because of that, it didn't get quite the attention that I felt like it deserved. It's a profoundly interesting and meaningful album. The album is actually pronounced Birds Like Earth. It describes the tale of visiting another planet's surface where the only recollection you have are birds that you are, like back home. So there was birds there like Earth. And so he uses sort of like almost like field recordings in a way. I don't really know if they're field recordings, but it kind of gives you a sense of an environmental sense that there's things happening around you. And hopefully we're gonna get there today with the track that we create. And we're gonna use sort of maybe some field recordings and some environmental cues to kind of give us some direction. So if you haven't checked out that album, I highly encourage you to go give it a listen. All right, so let's get started. This is gonna start with the sort of ambient space drone that I showed on my YouTube channel recently in a short. And then we're gonna build off of that technique, and I'm gonna go to it in more detail. Now we're gonna start out with a synthesizer, and that's gonna be Serum in our case. Let's set our key G flat minor. All right, we're gonna go G flat minor, and I'm gonna set the tempo down to around, let's say, 70 BPM. Okay. Now what I showed in the short was a FM patch, right? FM stands for frequency modulation. And how we're going to get there is we're going to turn the level down to oscillator A. And now you won't hear anything unless you turn on oscillator B. So what I'm going to do is choose one of these spectral waveforms in here. You can choose any which one you want. It really doesn't matter. They're all quite good. Maybe this one, that's kind of cool. And then what we're going to do is turn on oscillator B. And then over here, we're going to select FM from A. Now, this waveform over here, because this level's turned all the way down, it's still going to modulate the frequency of oscillator B like this. Right? So that frequency, I like to think of it like it's being injected into this sawtooth waveform, which can be really cool, especially when used in an ambient context, right? So let's go ahead and design an envelope here. We're going to lengthen this out. That was a little extreme. And then we're going to go here and add some decay and release. So now we have sort of an ambient pad-like envelope here. Okay. And what we can do is we can modulate this. Okay. We can modulate that frequency amount. We can do it a bunch of different ways. We can do it with the chaos filter over here, which would be nice. This is the chaos modulator rather. And we can make that sample and hold if we want. Or we can just make it chaotic, right? Now, hang with me for a second. I'm going somewhere with this. What we're going to do is we're going to put this under a filter and modulate that filter, okay? Again, we can modulate with the, let's say, Chaos 2, okay? So now we have two chaos modulators that are both working in tandem. All right. And that's good. And now oscillator A can be modulated as well, the position. We can modulate that over here. So now it's really changing. Okay, you can slow that down. And that's a little fast for my taste. So I'm going to slow this down as well. And maybe lower the amount in the mod matrix. That's actually happening. There we go. All right. Now we're in business. All right. Now we got something that sounds a little more ambient-like, and it really does fit our track. Okay. So let's go ahead and add the main part of the drone here. And what we're going to do is we're going to add Stepic. Number one, we're going to add Stepic before Serum, and we're going to come into Stepic, and we chose F sharp minor. So let's go ahead and grab an F sharp, set this to natural minor. We'll go ahead and make this only 8 steps. And now we can add some notes in here. So let's go ahead and add some notes. And we're going to put this into random direction. And we'll go ahead and add one of these, add this into random direction, mix up the velocity and put that in random direction. And let's go ahead and give this a try. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to slow this down in a really big way. It's like whole notes. Cool. So that's actually sounding good to me right now. So what we've done is we've taken Stepic and we've made it kind of slow, and the notes are randomly sort of generating in the scale of F sharp minor. And what that's doing is because it's slow, it's allowing that attack stage in Serum that we set to sort of percolate. It's sort of generating those tones, right? We can adjust the filtering if we want. Now this is just raw with no effects. We don't have any effects, but as soon as I add some effects, you're gonna hear how this is going to sound much more dramatic. Now, one thing I'm going to do that I showed in the video was I'm going to take bouncy notes. Now, bouncy notes is a Max for Live sequencer effect. It's a MIDI effect, right? And we're going to use bouncy notes to sort of add some more randomness to this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and say, all right, let's set it to F sharp minor. And the range, we're going to give it a range of like, say, 24, if it can go there. It doesn't really matter because it's only, there we go. And we're going to start it at, let's say we'll go F2, F sharp 2. Okay. And we're going to randomize the direction a little bit. And let's go ahead and hear what this sounds. Let's give it maybe like 8 voices. Turn this down a little bit. See, now every time Stepic generates a new note, those are going to start bouncing around in bouncy notes. Now you can adjust the speed, the gravity, all kinds of stuff in bouncy notes. Maybe we can speed up Stepic a little bit and make it half notes. Perfect. All right. So we're rolling. Now, what we're going to do is also, like I showed in the video, we are going to add, that was kind of sudden, sorry about that. We're going to add the microcosm. So let's go ahead and add an external audio effect to this. We have quite the chain going on. And now what I'm going to do is go out through 5 and into 7/8. And I'm going to insert my hologram microcosm, which is on the table behind me right here. Check this out. All right, so the more notes that we have that are sending out information into the microcosm, the more it can have to work with, because it's a granular sampler, mangler, if you will. And now we can add some of our own reverb and delay, and we'll roll. Now, depending on how many voices you want here, this, I put it at a max of 8 voices, with 8 bounces being the limit here. You can lower that if you want. You can increase the gravity so they bounce a little faster, or you can lower the gravity so they sort of, you know, now we're on Mars, right? I don't know what Earth's gravity is equal to. Probably, what is it? Somewhere around here. Right, so you can really toy with this and get some good results. Now, it doesn't just have to be Stepic. And it doesn't just have to be bouncy notes. So even if you don't use Ableton Live, there's definitely some options for you. This could be an arpeggio set in random mode, for example. This could be stochas. This could be multiple instances of stochas. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's lots of different ways to do this without the specific tools that I'm using. I'm just showing you one way that we can get there. Now, one thing that's really going to affect the sound is the position of this filter. So right now, it's a 12 dB filter. I could pull it down and we get a much darker drone, which might be what we want. It's much more ambient-like, right? You still get a little hint of that frequency modulation in there, which I like, but at least it's under control. So maybe we could even modulate the position of this filter with another LFO, slow LFO, and then make that area of influence relatively small. Alt and Shift on a Windows makes it bipolar. Wow, this is good. This is very good. The position of that cutoff filter is interesting. So Chaos 2, let's take a closer look at that. There we go. That needs to be a little slower. That's good. Okay. So there's the first part of our drone. Now we could record this to audio if we wanted. I could go in here and get 2 audio tracks. I think that's probably the smart thing to do. So let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna go external in, 7, 8, and put 1 pan all the way left, 1 pan all the way right, monitor to in, and there we go, all right? So now I'm going to go ahead, put this on pause here, and I will record, say like 2 minutes of this, and maybe 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'll see you guys on the other side of this. All right, so we're back. Now, one thing that I did that I was very smart that I did that was to sort of like let this sort of drift out. I actually cut Stepic right towards the end. And what that did was it sort of stopped the input of notes into bouncy notes, and then bouncy notes just sort of timed out, right? And it was a nice way to sort of gradually take the drone back down to earth. So yeah, that was actually really a smart thing on my part. So now that we have our drone in place, we can go ahead and listen back to it. We can also add some of our own reverb onto it, because what we're gonna do is just sort of kill that one. We'll call this Serum FM drone, and then that's gonna be that. And now we have this section of audio, which can be the base of the beginning of our track. And it's quite beautiful. I mean, this is a really great way to start an ambient space drone, right? Is with a nice foundation. And from there, let's go ahead and add a secondary patch. We could add something more on the lower end, something that kind of comes in. And what I was thinking is we would take Vital and build sort of a drone out of that, and maybe even use some field recordings in it. That would be kind of cool. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm gonna go ahead and make a new wavetable from scratch. So I just went ahead and clicked on the wavetable editor, if you're unfamiliar. And what you can do is just sort of start giving it some harmonics, right? And then I'm gonna right click and clear right to kind of get those later harmonics out. And then you can randomize the phase. So this is the phase, this is the harmonics over here. Now you can simplify this, and then you have kind of a cool shape, and then you can kind of add some later harmonics, which give it a nice little gritty quality. And so there you go, that's your first frame. And then go ahead and double click, and now you can go ahead and do this again. So I can, make another shape out of it. So I encourage you to get creative here. Anything goes with these. And then another shape. Let's go ahead and add some more later harmonics. Randomize the phase again. There you go. So now we have this to this to this, which is looking good. And then one more. Let's go ahead and do this, and we will adjust some harmonics, randomize the phase, and there we go. Yeah, okay, that's nice. That's 4 nice snapshot frames. And what that's gonna do is, as you can see, we have a nice wavetable that looks like this. Now, one thing we can do with this wavetable is we can sort of like really drone it out, right? Okay. Now that doesn't sound that good, but think about it. What we're going for is something that can kind of like break apart, right? So you can go crazy with the Unison here if your CPU can handle it. And I also encourage you to check out some of these other options over here. We have some real cool, like there's different Unison modes here. There's center drop 12, which adds a mono drop octave, drop 2 octaves, octave plus 7, 2 times octave, power chord, which is kind of cool, right? So even like power chord, can you imagine what power chord would sound like with, you know, reverb on it, right? So we can get some really cool drones. Right? Combine that with a good delay. Now we're getting close to this. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's keep going here. Let's add another octave here. We use this as a sub oscillator, and we'll make this. Let's open basic shapes. We'll go to factory, basic shapes. We'll give it like a triangle. And we'll also adjust the attack here to something more ambient like. Let's go ahead here, like lower this, lower this. This is a little too loud, but we're getting there. All right. Now, one thing I wanted to do was incorporate, like I said, some field recordings. So let's go ahead and add, I have a folder here. Now, the free field recordings, Left Drum is a friend of mine, dear friend of mine. And he gave all of these field recordings out for free. This was maybe 3 or 4 years back. And there's some really great stuff in here, right? So if you dive in and really dig around on some of these field recordings, these are high quality. We're recorded with like, you know, like contact microphones and all kinds of cool stuff. What we can do is pitch it up. Right? All right? Or pitch it down. Listen to that. All right. Okay. Is that a compressor on there? And those high birds become almost like low and they all start to mix in. Birds. Like her. Let's go ahead and modulate the wavetable position. There we go. Slow that modulation amount down. Actually, let's use a random. Okay. Slow that down. Nice. Ooh. Oh, hey, check this out. Let's use the FM from the sample. Hey. Dude, okay, so let's try this with a sine wave. Yes. Very nice. All right, now let's add some filtering. Okay. And we'll do a high pass filter on this one, oscillator 3 and the sample. Very nice. Very nice. I'm happy with that. Now let's do a little bit of harmonic stretching here. Right? Yeah, that's good. So you can see our waveform in the oscilloscope here. That RM is really doing wonders for us. We can actually randomize the unison amount here. And then we can, ooh, yeah, we can randomize this as well. Yes. Oh, that's so good. Okay, now let's listen to this contrasted with our original drone here. You see what I mean? Like, this is it. Sound design at a core-based level. What are you really doing with these sounds? And how are you using them? And then how are you incorporating them into true synthesis and sound design? And this is vital. This is a free synth. But I use the FM, the frequency modulation, from the forest surrounding sample to really bring out some alien-like, environmental, foresty type of sounds. And now we have, this is this pad that we're listening to. Wow. Push, I'm going to hit record new, and that should have locked that in place. Very good. Okay, so now we have a MIDI recall performance of what I just played, and that's going to be our sort of drone comes in here. Now what I can do is, if you don't hear any notes, don't hear any noise, it's probably because your first MIDI note you crossed over with the clip, and so that will trigger the on response. The MIDI note. And there you go. Yes. Wow. I mean, like, think about it. The layering, the interconnectedness of these patches, right? Moving in and out of different spaces to create a sense of environment, place, feeling. All of this plays into this style of music. And if you can get there with the techniques, then it's just a matter of you bringing your own unique storytelling ability and perspective to the table, and the music, that's what'll come out. Wow. Let's add one more part. I'm just gonna let this loop for a minute, and we'll add one more part. Okay? Let's come in here and grab Serum. And let's explore this idea of soundscape through Wavetable. Okay? On to like this one. I like that. I like these monster wavetables because they give you a nice like starting point. Right. And wavetable position can be modded by, again, Chaos 1. Okay. Let's add some unison here, though. Just the blending. Okay. And now let's adjust the tap. Release. Take the sustain down. Increase the decay. Now you can modulate this with the chaos, right? Yes. So even that becomes unpredictable, right? And we can also do this in a bipolar way. So now it's bipolar. That's reverb and delay. Space strengths. Oh yeah, we got it. So I ask you, like, if this music truly calls to you, it's only a matter of time before you completely wrap yourself around these techniques, that they become second nature to you, and then you never know where it's gonna go. Like, you are creating the world. You are the world builder with these sounds through audio. And if you're wondering, like, is Serum, like, worth it? Like, the reason why I use Serum is because it has such a primal and raw, natural sound. More so than any other wavetable synth I've ever used, and that goes for them all. Serum continues to amaze me with the sounds that I can create with it. Sound very, almost hardware-like in their digital edge, if that makes sense. The tools that you have, even if they're basic or out of date, which Serum arguably is, I mean, it still works, right? The tools is not really the focus. The focus is your process and how you actually get there. So I encourage you to find unique ways to do so, and you're gonna be rewarded. We can use the same field recordings in this patch as we used in the left drum thing. Like, we could add that to here. Look at this. Add a compressor. Multiband. Wow. Serum, again, has a very simple sampler. But it's so powerful. It's so powerful. Oh, wow. Oh, shift. There we go. Pitch. Bipolar. Yes. Ambient space drones. Now, where would I go from here? That's a good question, right? I would approach this like I was painting on a canvas. So I would start to rough out what the intention would be, right? So let's say 200 bars, okay? And I'd maybe take these and duplicate them over, and they'd come back at this point. This would come back again over here, maybe another time, right? Fill in the middle here. Some sort of clip. And then maybe build some more clips underneath it. And maybe in part 2 of this tutorial, which it looks like there needs to be, maybe in part 2 we explore what those ideas are. How far you could take this, where else you could go. But this is ambient music, you guys. This is ambient. And I encourage you to use the tools that you have available to help you get there. Because it's, like I said, it's just a matter of time before you bring your knowledge and your artistic expression together. And once you do that, you can create any world you want. Thank you guys so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed this tutorial and you want exclusive content just like this, please check out my Patreon. You can find the link down below in the description. And that's where I do tutorials like this every single week. And I truly appreciate those who support me on there already. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and a comment down below about the content of today's video. Like, is this the way you guys would approach space drones? Are there other synthesizers that you'd like to see me cover? Things like that. I always love hearing from you, and it really helps the channel out, and it's a free way just to smash the like button and subscribe and let me know you're out there. So this is so good. Alien space strings. Maybe that's what I'll name that. Ancient technology too. Anyway, my name is Chris from Signs of Life. Again, thank you all for watching. Truly appreciate it. Stay inspired. And as always, keep your heads in the clouds and your feet planted firmly on the ground. I'll see you guys next time.